There are nights when the room feels too quiet, yet rest does not arrive. The clock beside the bed keeps moving, but the body does not. After 60, sleep begins to change in ways no one warned us about. It becomes lighter, more fragile, easily interrupted by a thought, a pain, or the simple weight of the years. And still we keep trying to rise every morning with dignity, even when the night has not been kind. Many people your age whisper the same confession: "I'm tired before the day even begins." It's not laziness, it's not age defeating you. It's the body asking for the care it was never taught to demand. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, one of Japan's most respected physicians who lived well into his 100th year, once compared the aging body to a traditional Japanese clock. Those clocks were intricate, full of delicate gears and slender wooden pieces that needed to stay aligned for the whole system to function. When even one tiny mechanism fell out of place, the clock slowed, hesitated, or stopped altogether. Poor sleep, he said, is often the first mechanism to falter, not because the body is failing, but because years of responsibility, accumulated stress, grief, and physical changes slowly loosen the gears inside. When sleep becomes fragmented after 60, it does more than leave you groggy. It begins to touch parts of life we don't always connect to the night. Memory starts to slip more easily, not drastically at once, but in small ways. The name that takes longer to recall, the word that sits at the tip of the tongue. Metabolic balance becomes shaky, making mornings feel heavy and afternoons sluggish. Pain sensitivity increases, turning simple movements into small battles. Motivation fades, not from lack of desire, but from lack of renewal. The body cannot repair what it did not have time to mend. These aren't failures, they are signals. Dr. Mark Hyman reminds us that nighttime is when the body performs its deepest repair work. Not dramatic quick fixes, but quiet, slow processes, calming inflammation, restoring cells, preparing the mind for clarity. When this window is disrupted, even by short awakenings, those processes become incomplete. Inflammation lingers. Fatigue lingers. A sense of being a step behind yourself lingers. The night, instead of healing you, begins to feel like another source of uncertainty. But among all these complexities, there are simple tools that fit naturally into the physiology of aging. 4 fruits, cherries, oranges, bananas, and kiwis, long appreciated in different cultures for their calming effects, offer gentle support to the body's nighttime mechanisms. They help release melatonin more smoothly, relax tired muscles, stabilize glucose, and soothe the nervous system before sleep. These fruits are not miracle cures. They do not promise dramatic results. They simply work with the body, aligning those delicate internal gears that time has loosened. The real purpose of this conversation is not to glorify fruit, but to protect what matters most: independence, mobility, and mental clarity. The 3 pillars older adults fear losing, sometimes silently, sometimes desperately. Better sleep is not just about feeling rested. It is about staying steady when you stand up from a chair, remembering the story you wanted to share, waking with a sense of purpose instead of dread. It is about being able to live your days with the same pride and autonomy you've carried for decades. Tonight, as we begin this journey together, think of sleep not as a luxury, but as the quiet foundation of your resilience. And let these simple foods become companions in restoring the night to its rightful place, a place of healing, repair, and hope. There is a quiet belief that settles in with age, almost like an old companion. The idea that waking several times during the night is simply what happens after 60. Many people accept it with a sigh, as if nothing can be done. But those brief awakenings, the ones that seem harmless, slowly interrupt the deeper phases of rest where the body performs its most essential restoration. Tissue repair, memory consolidation, emotional processing. All of these depend on continuous, unbroken cycles. When those cycles are fractured, even by minutes, the following day begins with a subtle drag in the mind and a heaviness in the body that doesn't feel like ordinary tiredness. It feels like something slipping beneath the surface, something that used to be strong now losing its firmness. Science helps us understand this in simple terms. As the years advance, melatonin, the hormone that signals the brain it is time to sleep, is produced in smaller amounts. Circadian rhythms, once guided by long days of work, sunlight, and routine, become weaker. Without these cues, the brain drifts into lighter sleep, waking more easily and staying awake longer. Researchers from Stanford observed that shallow sleep reduces attention and reaction speed the next day, not because the mind has lost its ability, but because it didn't receive the nourishment it needed during the night. This is not a flaw of aging. It is a reminder of how sensitive the body becomes after decades of carrying responsibilities and memories. Around the world, there are places where elders sleep differently. In the blue zones, those regions known for long-lived communities, the evening begins with a slow winding down. Lights dim as the sun sets. Voices soften. People often enjoy naturally sweet foods with their dinners or shortly after, allowing their nervous systems to settle gently. These small rituals are not complicated, yet they help guide the body toward calmness. It is as if the night is invited in instead of forced. A simple 20-minute transition before bed can make a meaningful difference. Softening the light in the room, reducing background noise, and avoiding long stretches of late-night sitting create a gentle descent into sleep. Not a routine imposed with discipline, but a quiet preparation that feels natural, almost familiar, like the moment someone in the household used to lower the lamp before everyone rested. The nervous system recognizes these signals, and when it does, the body follows. Think of sleep as the night shift cleaning crew of the body. They arrive when everything else quiets. They sweep, repair, organize, and prepare the inner space for the next day. When they are called away too often, the work remains unfinished. The floors stay dusty, the shelves stay cluttered, and in the morning we wake not refreshed but burdened. The older we become, the more this unfinished work accumulates. And yet, with gentleness and patience, it is still possible to give the night what it needs to take care of us again. There is something almost nostalgic about cherries. Their color, their softness, the brief sweetness that disappears as soon as it arrives. They feel like a fruit that carries memory within it. Many older adults, especially those living alone, reach for something heavier late at night. Crackers, bread, leftover meals, foods that feel comforting in the moment, yet quietly raise the heart rate and make sleep drift farther away. These choices are rarely intentional. They come from habit, from loneliness, or from the desire to fill a silence that becomes louder as the evening deepens. But the body, especially an aging one, responds differently to the night. It needs gentleness, not stimulation. Cherries offer that gentleness in a simple, almost humble way. Tart cherries, in particular, contain natural melatonin, not in overwhelming doses, but in amounts that support the body's own rhythm. They also carry compounds that soothe nighttime inflammation, something many people over 60 feel in their joints and muscles even before they swing their legs out of bed. When these quiet helpers enter the bloodstream, the transition into deeper sleep becomes smoother. Not instant, not dramatic, but steady, like a small lantern guiding the way down a dark hallway. In some colder regions of the world, elders used to preserve cherries for long winters. They noticed, long before studies existed, that a spoonful in the evening calmed the restlessness that often arrives with age. They didn't speak of melatonin or inflammation. They spoke of comfort. They spoke of nights that felt more peaceful. And sometimes wisdom passes through stories before it passes through science. A modest evening bowl of fresh cherries or a small serving of unsweetened cherry puree, taken about an hour before bed, becomes a gentle companion rather than a burden on digestion. The aging stomach appreciates this softness. The nervous system acknowledges it too. There is no conflict between what the body needs and what it receives. Only a quiet alignment. Cherries behave almost like a sunset switch. Subtle, warm, unhurried. They signal to the brain that the day is ending. Not with force, but with suggestion. The way a fading sky tells the world to slow down. And in that suggestion, the body finds a path into rest. One that feels natural and kind. One that reminds you that even the simplest foods can still offer comfort in the later chapters of life. There are nights when the body feels heavier than the day that came before it. The legs stiffen, the calves tighten, and a quiet ache settles in without asking permission. Many older adults describe waking not because of thoughts, but because of an invisible pull in the muscles, a tension that refuses to let go. These nighttime disturbances are often overlooked, yet they shape the rhythm of sleep in powerful ways. An aging body, already working harder to stay balanced, needs softness in the hours after dusk, not strain. Bananas bring that softness in the form of natural minerals that help relax tired muscles. There is nothing complicated or modern about this. It is simply the way the fruit was created. Those minerals ease the subtle contractions that often wake older adults in the middle of the night, particularly when circulation slows or when the day has demanded more from the legs than the body could comfortably give. Oranges, on the other hand, offer evening-friendly vitamin C, a quiet protector that helps reduce oxidative stress built up from years of movement, effort, and persistence. Together, they create a pairing that calms the internal landscape, preparing it for rest without forcing anything. Although oranges are often associated with bright mornings and breakfast tables, in certain Mediterranean communities, elders traditionally enjoyed small amounts of citrus after the evening meal. They believed it supported digestion and brought a sense of coolness to the night. These habits were not created from scientific papers or strict routines. They came from observation, from sitting with one's own body long enough to understand what feels soothing and what feels unsettling. A portion of banana or a small serving of orange an hour before bedtime can help stabilize muscle activity while allowing melatonin pathways to flow more steadily. This isn't a prescription, and it isn't a quick fix. It is a gentle alignment, the one that respects the slower digestive speed of someone in their 70s or 80s and offers comfort without heaviness. Bananas and oranges behave like a hand placed softly on the shoulder at the end of a long day. They do not promise to erase pain or eliminate tension completely, but they whisper to the muscles, encouraging them to loosen, to soften, to rest. For an aging body that has carried decades of weight, worry, and responsibility, this quiet reassurance can be the difference between a night that feels fragmented and a night that feels healing. There comes a time in life when trust in sleep begins to fade. Not because sleep has abandoned you, but because the tools offered over the years have left you feeling groggy, unsteady, or disconnected from your own rhythms. Many older adults lean on over-the-counter sleep aids for far longer than they ever intended, hoping for relief, but waking with a heaviness that follows them into the morning. Over time, these aids can quiet the body's natural ability to produce melatonin, leaving nights filled with shallow rest instead of repair. It is a quiet cycle, one that begins with good intentions and ends with a sense of frustration that often stays unspoken. Kiwi enters this conversation almost unexpectedly. This unassuming fruit, small and slightly rough to the touch, has shown remarkable effects on sleep quality in older adults. Clinical studies from universities in Taiwan and Europe observed that eating kiwis before bed supported a smoother transition into sleep, increased overall duration, and improved sleep efficiency. The reason is simple yet meaningful. Kiwis carry antioxidants that soothe internal stress and contain natural serotonin precursors which support the body's own pathways for nighttime calmness. Nothing aggressive, nothing overwhelming, just a fruit that works with the body rather than against it. In regions where kiwis are grown, there is a tradition of using them as a cooling food in the evening. Elders believed they tempered the internal heat that builds up after long days, helping restlessness settle. These were not medical claims, only observations from people who had lived long lives and paid close attention to how food affected their mood, their sleep, and the way they greeted the next morning. Wisdom like this often arrives before research confirms it. A single sliced kiwi 1 to 1.5 hours before bedtime creates a gentle window for the body to unwind, especially for those who wake multiple times during the night. The sweetness is soft, the fiber light, the digestion effortless. It doesn't force drowsiness, it invites it. It becomes a quiet signal, something the body recognizes as an opening into rest. Kiwi acts almost like a night watchman, steady and unhurried. While you sleep, it supports the nervous system, keeping the internal environment calm enough for your deepest cycles of repair. For someone navigating the later chapters of life, carrying memories that ache, joints that stiffen, and a heart that still hopes, this kind of steady companionship from something so simple can be unexpectedly meaningful. It reminds you that even now, even at this stage, the night can still become a place of healing rather than interruption. As this conversation comes to a close, it may help to return to the quiet wisdom of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. He often compared the aging body to an old Japanese home, not fragile, not broken, but deserving of steady upkeep. A home like that does not need grand renovations to stay strong. It needs daily care, gentle repairs, mindful attention, the kind of patience that respects the passing of time rather than fights against it. Nightly rest is part of that upkeep. It is the soft brush of maintenance that keeps the structure from wearing down before its time. Poor sleep after 60 carries a weight that is often hidden from the outside world. It erodes memory in subtle ways, tightens the body, wears down resilience, and makes mornings feel heavier than they should. Yet even small evening habits can shift that entire landscape. Calming food, lighter routines, quieter transitions, tiny steps that allow the nervous system to settle into its natural rhythm. None of these changes require youth, energy, or perfect health. They only require a willingness to tend to the night with the same care you once offered to others throughout your life. Dan Buettner, who spent years studying the world's longest living communities, noticed something simple and profound. In the places where elders remain active, clear-minded, and emotionally steady well into their 90s, the evenings are never rushed. People slow down. They choose foods that signal calmness to the body. They trust traditions that have carried families through generations. Warm light, gentle movement, natural flavors, conversations that soften the mind before sleep. None of it is complicated. All of it is intentional. Cherries, bananas, oranges, and kiwis each play their own quiet role in this nightly preparation. Cherries support the rise of melatonin, smoothing the journey into sleep. Bananas and oranges relax the muscles and soothe the nervous system, giving the body permission to release the tension it carried all day. Kiwis steady the inner environment during the night, helping the deepest layers of rest unfold. These fruits are not solutions on their own. They are companions, small, accessible, and respectful of the aging body's needs. Evening fruit is not a replacement for thoughtful habits or emotional care. It is simply a tool that can help you reconnect with the kind of sleep that restores independence, clarity, and long-term vitality. You have lived through decades of responsibility, loss, triumph, and change. Your body has carried you through every chapter, even the ones that felt impossible. Offering it a calmer night is one of the most meaningful gifts you can give yourself at this stage of life. And sometimes that gift begins with something as simple as a piece of fruit and a moment of quiet before the lights go out.